You guys want to know about really, really yummy in your tummy, fun, gorgeous avocado? But let me tell you, this one here is called Nabal. That's actually a Guatemalan name, but I'm not sure what it means. I'd have to look it up. You know what avocado means, right? Avocado is a derivation, Spanish sort of a translation of aguacado. Well, avocado is sort of, I guess, English from the Spanish word aguacate, and then from aguacate, the Spanish translated it from the Native American name of avocado. Now, some things get lost in translation, but I want to make sure that this does not, because this is important to know how words were derived, such as this. Avocado, does anybody know what that means in native Aztec language, Mayan? I'm not sure if it's Mayan, either Mayan or Aztec. Okay, you give up? I will tell you. It means testicle. Hey, I'm just telling you the facts. I didn't make the facts. They're just the facts. So that's what you're eating. You're eating avocados, but maybe let's just call them avocados, because that's a little more palatable. So here we have a wonderful example of a beautiful avocado. This avocado is found down in a coffee grove in Guatemala, in Antigua, in about 1915. And it was found by Wilson Popenoe. He's one of my heroes. And he was just minding his own business. Actually, it wasn't. He was looking for these. He found that all of these really good avocados were chiefly found in gardens, or they were found in people's front yards. He didn't really find any avocados to speak of in the wild. And there's still debate as to like what is a wild avocado. There's some trees growing up in the mountains, the little tiny avocados, and I think maybe that was the precursor to the domesticated avocado. The avocado was domesticated long ago, and it's originally, the seed is so big that there was only one disperser that could eat it and be so big to be able to send it out the back end, so to speak, and spread it around, and that was a giant sloth. Of course, the sloth went extinct. Oh, I'm gonna eat that right in front of you. It's gonna be disgusting, and I'm gonna do it anyway. Yeah, don't tell my wife I made this video. She's gonna be really upset. Like, you can't do that on camera. Well, they need to know. I only have one hand. I have no knife. Do it right here, right now. So the giant sloth went extinct, so nothing was around to spread it. But along came humans, and they decided they really liked the taste of these avocados. So obviously, if there was a tree with a little bit bigger fruit, they would just go to that tree and pick that tree, and instead of picking, a tree a little further away. So they would pick those, they'd eat them, and they probably would bring them back to their cave or their hut or whatever they're living in and eat them there. And of course, they toss the seeds out the back, and invariably, here's another really great shot. Look at that. That's a different avocado up there. But invariably, these avocados would sprout, and the next thing you know, they'd grow up, and then Johnny might have better avocados than Juanita, so they would go to Johnny's house and pick those avocados first, because Juanita's weren't very good, or they were small or whatever, and then Juanita's wouldn't get picked, Johnny's would, and the same thing would happen. They'd get carried around to different people's houses, moved around, and ultimately chucked into the compost pile, where they would again, guess what? Right, sprout. They sprout, and that's what you call, that's not natural selection, that's intentional selection. So again, those would sprout. There'd be a really, really good one. That one would be favored. It would get picked first. Some of the others might not get picked. They would get moved around. And little by little, you have improved varieties. And what Wilson Popenoe found was that he only found these in domesticated conditions. And there were no commercial orchards, believe it or not, because they were that plentiful. If anybody wanted an avocado, they just went outside and got one. They didn't have to go to the store. There were a few people selling them down in the markets, but that was about it. So there were no organized groves. They just pick them off of their trees. There was no grafting of certain varieties. They just plant seeds, and whatever came up, came up. They didn't know about grafting until Wilson came along and I guess taught them. But anyway, these workers at the coffee plantations would like take their lunch with them in the form of avocados, sit down like I'm going to do under this tree, and they would eat their avocado. And then guess what they would do with the seed? Right, they'd chuck it. They'd chuck it, and then it would sprout somewhere. The people who owned the coffee groves, they didn't mind that so much because coffee loves a little bit of dappled shade. It's the perfect conditions for coffee. So they would just leave these things there, and it was kind of nice to have a big fat avocado around. Oh, look at this one. I'm gonna pick that. That's a big fat one right there. And so, yeah, they'd have these trees around, and then, people would pick that one and move it around. The same process kept happening until you had some really good select varieties. I'm talking over like 2,000 years this has been going on. So this is human selection of improved cultivars, sort of by accident. And it wasn't intentional, but that's what happened in the evolution of the avocado. So, where does that leave us? Wilson found this fruit. I'm going to pull this one off right here. He found this thing, and he, let's go have a seat. Let's take a break. Time for break. Get my union break. Got to have my union break. So Wilson saw this tree. Let's just sit back here. Look at this. Oh, no, don't do that. Found that one on the ground. But I got to get a big giant one. Look at that big giant one. That's a big fruit. Big fruit. Put it next to my big, ugly head. There you go. See that? Pretty big. Anyway, Wilson, he basically noticed this one growing in a coffee grove. And he's like, that looks like a super awesome tree. And he actually has a photo of it. He collected budwood from it. But then guess what happened? He came back 2 years later after he took him home to California, grafted him, found out that the original parent tree had been cut down accidentally. They cut it down. So luckily, Wilson had secured budwood from this tree and got it to California, got it to grow. And not only that, but on a ranch, avocado growing ranch right near me that's now a school in Carlsbad, California, a guy by the name of Reed, he had a Nabal growing at his house. He picked the fruit, planted a seed, and ended up with this really great avocado called Reed that is the offspring of this Nabal. So if it wasn't for the Nabal, there would be no Reed. If it wasn't for Wilson Popenoe collecting the Nabal when he did, there would neither be Reed nor Nabal anymore. So we have him to thank for that and a whole bunch of other things. There's actually like a Wilson Popenoe sort of museum down there, and you need to go sometime. It's on my bucket list. And here's a really good way. Look at that irrigation. I should make another irrigation video here. I'll do that later. Good way of doing it. So anyway, that's the story of the Nabal and a little bit of the story of the Reed. This is a little bit sunburnt, but let's just let's talk about the tree while I open this thing up. Yeah, trust me, you don't want to see this part. And there's a tree. It's starting to flower. This fruit is a year old. It was born on the tree last year, and it's perfectly ripe now. And I'm getting a little taste of it. It's very rich, very big. One more. Be patient. Here I come. Okay. I know it's a little nasty, but this is how the squirrels do it. Here we go. This is the part you might want to just turn it off. This may be disturbing to some viewers. Mmm. Mmm. You know when your eyes roll back, it's absolutely, oh, this is so, it's warmed up by the sun. Absolutely delicious. Yeah. I really need to stop doing this because I really need to lose about 15 pounds. It's hard to do, though, when you have avocados all year long. Anyway, there you go. That is the Nabal avocado. And it's a big boy. It's a real big boy. Look at that thing.